my process of writing is another crooked path. When I start a book, well, let me back up. If I have an idea for a book and I present a proposal, I know I can do this, I've got this. They say yes, we sign a contract, I move forward. I say, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? I should have done a bunny book, this is so much work. And then I remind myself of something that Bernice Johnson Reagan with Sweet Honey in the Rock said years ago, that you break it down into small steps. And then the other thing I remind myself is like a mantra, it's all in the research. That I have to trust the process, that how I open, tone, how I present the material will come to me if I immerse myself in the research, if I surrender to the subject. That's what writing is. It's surrendering to the subject. And as I tell kids, because I think research gets a bad rap, I tell kids, I say, writing is acting. I say, yes, writing is acting. If I'm writing about MLK, I have to become MLK. I said, so if writing is acting, then research is what? Getting into character. It's not getting some dry, boring facts together. It's that getting, what I spoke about before, it's getting into character. It's learning what was he like as a 9-year-old? What dances were popular when he was a kid? And then when you come, like I said, I start with the small things. I find in my process when I'm doing a biography, I also have to find something about the subject that I can really relate to, or something that makes the subject more human. Du Bois was tough because he was known to be arrogant. I mean, as brilliant as he was and as prolific as he was, he could be a little arrogant. And I've kind of had trouble. He's not an easy person to like. That's what I'm saying. W.E.B. Du Bois, the scholar activist, is not an easy person to like. You can respect him and appreciate and revere him, but it's hard to like him. But as I read about his childhood, I realized he was small and scrawny. He's born in the Victorian era. He was left-handed, and that was considered sinister back then. He was poor. At one point, his mom had a stroke, and it left her disabled. And he wrote of times walking through the streets with her limping, and I thought he may have been teased, he may have been bullied, he may have been picked on. And I thought, well, maybe that's why he had a little chip on his shoulder. And I could understand it better and say I can sympathize. I think for Frederick Douglass, when I learned that he played the violin, I thought, oh, he loved music, along with, railing against slavery and injustices and for women's rights, that I imagined that, after his lecture tours, which were sometimes 3 or 4 months long, maybe that's how he centered down, by coming home and playing the violin. So I think it's important to, like you said, bring it down to what the museum is doing, bring everything down to a human scale and say, I can relate to this person.